Millennials of Reddit, now that the first batch of Gen Zs are moving into the working world, what is some advice you'd like to give them? You are always busy. Always tell everybody how busy you are no matter how busy you are, otherwise they will keep giving you more and more work with no reward to show for it. Hey, how's it going? Oh man, just crazy busy. How about you? This. I hate admitting it, because I stubbornly believed for way too long that working hard and doing well would mean promotions and more challenging work, but nope. It just means I get handed the work my lazy co-workers can't be bothered to do. My advice now is to do your work and do it well, but don't let anyone take advantage of that. Learn to be comfortable saying no sometimes. Sorry, but I just don't have the time to take that on right now. Being handed someone else's work is temporary. If you let them, they'll make that permanent. Don't let them. Totally relate with work hard equals be noticed and get promotions, but that's simply no longer how things function nowadays. It's all about contacts and threatening to change jobs. If you're in a meeting and you don't have anything to say or add to the conversation, that's okay. Just STFU. Do not just speak up to speak up. Do not just spout off repeating the exact same point without adding something on top of it. I work with a girl who feels the need to say something in literally every meeting we've ever had, and it's useless. No one is fooled and think you are really contributing. You just make yourself look stupid, and annoy everyone. Find a way to actually add value to the conversations you are having. I'm 29 and have been out of college for about 5 years now. If there's one thing I would say, don't just look at the salary. Yes, money is important, but how is the work-life balance? What are the reviews on Glassdoor from the other employees? Find a company that treats its employees well, even if the pay is a little bit less. And if possible, try your hardest to get a job with a union. When I was right out of college, I was obsessed with finding a dream job at one of those cool companies where everyone wears shorts to work, everybody is young, there's pool tables etc. But those places also pay shit and make you work obscene hours. Another thing is, try to live closer to where you work. Eliminating commute time from my day has been of the best things I've done in terms of eliminating stress and fatigue. I got a lame job at a boring company that has a dress code. And I go home at 5 on the dot every day. Greater than I go home at 5 on the dot every day. Seriously underrated perk. Keep your goals and priorities in mind. Don't get distracted by workplace drama, team spirit nonsense, bottom line that you get no part of, or any of that. Do what you need to in order to get what you want. And understand that aside from showing up and doing your job for your contracted hours, you don't owe your employer anything. Be willing to take risks. The fastest way to increase your earnings is to hop from job to job every few years, moving upwards diagonally. Contrary to what other people are saying, it is totally possible to succeed and be happy, even without a college degree. But it may take a while to get there. I'm 30 now and I didn't really have my shit together until about 4 years ago. When someone is having trouble printing a document, tell them to call IT, even if you know how to fix it, otherwise it's now your job every time they have a problem with the printer. Don't let your work become your identity. I agree. Be cautious if your introduction turns into something like "Hi, I'm Zero, and I'm insert job title here." When I was younger I was so much more. A gamer, a snowboarder, a baseball player. I don't know when I limited myself to identifying as someone who sits at a desk. This is probably the most noticeable difference between Gen Xers and Millennials. I find that Millennials and iGen don't tie their job to their identity nearly as much unless it's one of those careers that really do shape your life, like being a doctor or something. What do you do? To a baby boomer or Xer will almost always be met with their job. Millennials are much more split but tend to go into their hobbies, while iGen rarely care about their job identity. I hope iGen keep it that way. I'm an engineer. Don't think that having a degree guarantees you any respect or to be moving up quickly. Unfortunately, having earned your bachelor's doesn't mean as much as you might hope. I've seen a lot of new hires think they're going to come in and be running the place in a year. They don't seem to know what they don't know and end up being either embarrassing or disrespectful. The ones I've seen act like this never last long cause everyone ends up thinking they're idiots. The ones who succeed, and do end up running the place, do an excellent job at what they are asked to do and act as part of a team. Just be patient. Not saying wait 10 years for a promotion. Just understand you're going to have to learn something and pay your dues. Once you start earning income and living on your own, you will have a greater presence in various mailing and call lists. The overwhelming majority of companies who utilize these lists are criminals. The IRS does not send phone calls. These are scams. No collections agency or law enforcement office will call you to inform you you're about to be arrested unless you do what they say. These are also scams. If you get a call about suspicious activity, check your bank account and call your bank to verify. Most of the time, this is a scam. If Microsoft calls you about the sudden termination of a premium service, and you're entitled to a refund, this is a scam. If you get far enough into a call with somebody you believe is legitimate, and they suddenly want you to send them money using a verified payment partner like Google Play, basically anything from the gift cards rack, that is 100% a scam. Major caveat, banks do sometimes call to verify transactions. If you get a voicemail from your bank, don't ignore it. Independently verify the information and check your online balance. Call the bank branch using the phone number listed on their site or using a search engine. Do not call the phone number the voicemail provides you. 90% of this is just don't pick up calls from numbers not in your contacts, which is really good advice. Any call that is not in my contacts goes straight to voicemail, except on rare occasions. Been job hunting recently and had to pick up a lot more unknown phone numbers. I used to do this until the day my dad had a heart attack. A number I didn't recognize called me. I said, screw it, I'll pick it up, what the hell. I pick up almost every call now. I'm an older millennial, 34, working in a boomer corporation. Here are two things. 1, if you want a raise, it's hard to get more than 5% at any one time because of corporate/HR bullshit. If you're getting underpaid, the best choice is to quit and get hired elsewhere. You're lucky, because right this moment there are a lot of jobs, compared to 10 years ago when the recession happened. 2, stay up to date with current productivity tools. You'll blow the older folks out of the water with how much more work you can do in a shorter amount of time. Just make sure the order is to first get hired somewhere else then quit. And never tell your current company where you're going. I've known several people to get burned with their company calling the hiring company to talk crap and have their offers rescinded. Work to live. Do not live to work. You're allowed to have your own life outside the office. Do not get emotionally invested in your workplace, be ready to move, and your bosses will lie to you. Sounds harsh and bleak, but you can still have a lot of fun. Just remember to look for yourself first. Like in an airplane, secure your mask and then help others. This workplace loyalty is mostly a thing of the past. The best way to get a raise is to change who you work for nowadays. Do a brilliant job in whatever position you're in, but don't hesitate to move on to bigger and better if the opportunity presents itself. Don't let company loyalty be the only reason you turn down job offers. Give credit where it's due. If you get congratulated for the success of a team project, make sure to remind your boss that it was a team effort. If the time comes for you to leave your role, do what you can to avoid burning bridges. Don't bad talk your current workplace to your future workplace, maintain the friendships you formed, etc. Above all, do not be stupid on social media. Companies are hiring firms to trawl applicants' social media presence, and if you put your boss on blast on your private Facebook page, it will make it back to them. If you call in sick and then post pictures of yourself at the beach, it will get back to your boss. If you post an angry political diatribe, there's a decent chance it will make national news, and you might not get a job anywhere ever again. Also, don't add anyone from work on social media, no matter how friendly you are with each other. It's super easy to just say I don't add colleagues, sorry, so that no one's feelings get hurt. It's fairly common and most people understand, this times a million. I have only ever added one person I knew from work on social media, and that was after the company disbanded. Your first job doesn't have to be your only job. Always keep your options open and look for ways to move up in your company or another company. Great advice. You can always advance your skill sets, but know when to bounce, hitting a ceiling, or if you're not getting support, you'll know. Get used to calling people on the phone and not just using emails and messengers. When someone tells you to figure something out quickly, you can't be nervous to make a bunch of calls, because waiting for an email reply doesn't cut it. As an add-on to this, document all of those phone calls with a follow-up email so you have a record of the conversation. That way you have a record that the conversation took place and what the do-outs were. Without a paper trail, people are always willing to throw you under the bus to cover for their own laziness and or incompetence. Greater than Mr. Hutz, greater than per our conversation earlier this afternoon. Thanks for the update on the status of the Burns account and the other 3 projects you are working. I will have X, Y and Z prepared for the meeting next week as discussed, and will be standing by for your inputs on projects A, B, and C by Friday. Greater than regards, greater than Duffman. Also, if you need an answer on something, a good way to deal with passive people who can claim later that they didn't understand you were waiting on them. Greater than if I don't receive a response by X date, I'll assume Y. Make whatever assumption allows you to move on and do your job. / Keep a good attitude when around colleagues. No matter what the situation, a calm head always prevails, and plus you don't look like an asshole. Bad attitudes are contagious. Oh, and always propose a solution to any problem you identify. 1. As long as you're young, you will be treated as an exploitable and expendable resource. If you give your loyalty to any boss, you will end up losing, but if you act like a douche, you will also end up losing. Try to balance looking after yourself and being loyal only to yourself with not being a dick to anyone. 2. Kiss ass. Nepotism is the name of the game, and if you don't learn to play it, you will suffer for it. Your principles can't bludgeon through that system. Learn the game, play it well, and once you're in a position to, slowly change it if that's what you want, but for now swim along the current, not against it. 3. My parents always disapproved of my choices. I never had the right job, right salary, right conditions, or demanded what I deserved. They didn't understand what the conditions were in the workplace for us millennials, and their constant nagging, and much of their advice was BS. Chances are you'll face something similar. The economy is worse than it was yesterday, so if you notice you're not doing as good as your parents or grandparents, or just in general, remember it's probably not your fault. Keep moving forward, an opportunity will come sooner or later. Not sure if this applies outside Mexico too. Canadian here. Your advice definitely applies here too. Great answers, by the way. The moment you walk out the door, your job ends. Don't bring it home. Don't be afraid about asking for raises and co-workers' salary. Update your resume every 3 to 4 months. Be prepared to jump ship. Edit, there are exceptions to everything. Greater than the moment you walk out the door, your job ends. Don't bring it home. Amen to this. They will take whatever you give. If you check your emails and phone all evening and weekend, they will come to expect that. I love my boss for this. He says the company always wins, referring to the extra time we put into our jobs in the context of encouraging us to flex time, working a bit more Monday to Thursday to get a Friday off, to take extra vacation, or leaving early to take care of something personal. Essentially, take your time when you need it, because you'll work over 40 hours sometimes and the company will never give it back to you, you have to take it. Company loyalty is a one-way street. Never fool yourself into thinking that any level of skill or hard work will save you from a layoff or downsizing. You are a number to them even if your best friend, brother, mother, sorority sister, or grandparent is your boss. When it comes to business, they do not care about you. Never depend on your company for anything long term. Own your own retirement, always be looking, always keep your resume ready to go, don't turn down opportunities. Hard work doesn't always pay off. Remember it. Oh, it pays off alright. The payoff is more work. That's why the story of John Henry isn't just about a man beating a machine. It's about not trying to outwork the group around you. It'll get you killed by work in the end. Not all baby boomers are terrible. Just like Gen X and Millennials, you're going to have some good ones and some bad ones. Regarding the bad ones, they grew up in a world very different from ours. Remind them of this. Many won't care, but some will take note. It gets worse. Lol, amen from a Gen Xer with 29 years working experience. It sure as hell does get worse, but always remember showing up is at least 60% of success. Even if your deliverable is pure shit, even if you blew past a deadline. Show up. Show up hungover, gacked out from a festival weekend, heartbroken. Whatever. Just show up. You'll always be in a better position than somebody more talented or better looking or with a better degree who didn't show up. Start saving money immediately. Even if it's a small amount. Anything. I guarantee you can save. If you think you can't, you need to eliminate an unnecessary expense. Simple. I budget counsel people for a living. There is always something they can give up. Always. Having emergency funds is better. I promise. Work-life balance. Username checks out. Take life advice from people who are older, but take professional advice from people who have been in a similar situation as yourself. Someone who got their first job in the 1950s will have a wildly different view on professional life compared to most millennials. Take care of your mental health. Be kind at first. The benefits of being kind or at the very least courteous far outweigh the effort you put in. Do random acts of kindness. Compliment someone. If a retail or food service worker makes a mistake, be understanding and patient. Kind people live happily than unkind people. My father had taught me to be nice first, because you can always be mean later, but once you've been mean to someone, they won't believe the nice anymore. So be nice, until it's time to stop being nice, then destroy them. Then destroy them. You're going to find high school level petty drama everywhere you go. The best thing to do is clock in, do your job, and clock out. My managers are both 30-year-olds, yes, still every day fight on the phone with their boyfriends, gossip, all of it. So disgusting and bizarre. Some people never mature past high school. I've met 60-year-olds who do the same thing. Don't compromise a decision that's in the best interest of your own career growth because you feel it would be a disservice to your current employer. They will do a disservice to you in a heartbeat if it's in the best interest of the company. To piggyback on this, make sure you consider all benefits, both tangible and intangible in your decision, not just monetary compensation. Obviously money is going to be one of the major factors, but things like having a flexible schedule or a good direct supervisor are worth something in your decision. So are growth potential, commute time, and insurance. Make your decision based on all these factors, to the extent you can know them prior to accepting a new job. This is important. Healthcare/cost of insurance should be considered. If the base pay isn't the best, consider the value of the benefits offered. Free health insurance can equate to several thousands saved over the course of a year. My advice is specifically about money. Save your money. Don't buy things on credit. If you don't have the money to buy it, save up until you do. Otherwise, you'll be planning your lifestyle around your finances, and continue to add expenses that keep you locked into a certain job. For example, I was hired on at a company and made twice as much as I did before. I started buying electronics and putting them on monthly payment plans, got an expensive apartment, raised my car payment by getting a new car, all stuff I could afford because I was getting paid really well. But, inevitably I decided I didn't want to be at this company anymore a few years down the road. Unfortunately, my monthly payments for rent, my car, Credit cards, monthly installments on everything made it impossible for me to take a pay cut somewhere else, so I was stuck trying to pay everything off before I left. Just because $200 a month sounds more affordable than $3,000 up front doesn't mean that it's actually better for you. Credit is perfectly fine. The real advice should be to pay off your balance in full every month. If you use credit like cash, meaning you only spend what you have, you will always come out better than cash only. Now if you're notoriously bad at managing finances, which you seemed to be, then by all means stay the fuck away from credit cards. If you are moving into an office environment, Excel is a fantastic skill to have. Even knowing how VLOOKUP and pivot tables work can get you far. /+1 on this. My Gen X teammates call me the Excel magician. I mostly rely on VLOOKUPs and whatever I can paste out of a Google search. Work smart, not hard. For the sake of your sanity, don't overwork yourself. An employer could give two shits how hard you work. When it's time to boot you, they will. So work smart, do things at your own pace, and master whatever it is you're doing. If you're going to school for something or have an idea on where you want your career to head, find a job that meshes in with your goals. Chances are the first real paying job you get is the career you're gonna end up in, because it's where you're gonna have the most leverage and experience. For example, if you want to be a doctor, look for jobs in the medical field, even if it's cleaning floors at a hospital. Once you get your foot in the right door, it'll be easier to level up once you're older. Important, don't ever think a job is 100% secure. Doesn't matter how much you make or how long you've been there, anything can happen. Whether it's you messing up, business going under, or simply because they don't want you, they will do whatever is in their best interest. So remember to always do the same. If a better opportunity arises, take it. Don't ever feel bad for an employer. At the end of the day, it's a business transaction, not personal.